take and turn the whole thing around, because what we've done, we sat there and we've made a, I don't want to say, a farce out of our borders. It's just plain and simple. We're not really protected. We've got the border agents who prosecute for trying to do their job. I mean, that's crazy. You don't do that. That's just absolutely insane. Now, what I would like to say is we need to support local law enforcement. And in that way, what I'm trying to say is encourage them to detect and detain illegal immigrants. Now, illegal, the state's very sensitive. They're illegal. So, by the federal government supporting them to detain and report, that changes what we're doing now. Right now, we've got our system set up where they tell, don't worry about that. That's the federal government's job. Don't worry about that. They broke the law. When you break the law, you get arrested. And that's what we need to do, support them. Now we also believe that we need to take a section of the military and retrain them to support these border agents. You hear a lot of people say they don't want to see the military on the border. Well, I'm not one of them, because I think those people are trained to handle the desert, especially now. Our troops are fighting in the desert. They know how to handle this type of situation. So retrain them so that they can handle these situations a lot better. Now, with this going on like this, the physical barriers where needed, the other issues that we've talked about up here, all these things together can bring this under control. Yes, we can support secure these borders, and we have to.
Bob, can I get some clarification? Am I the only candidate up here that supports completely securing our border and building a literal fence across the southern border? Is that correct,
Yeah.
Bob?
That's what I would hear.
Yep. Okay. Just wanted to.
Is that correct, John? I don't want to
clarify.
speak for you. I don't want to speak for you, but there was only one candidate that said a complete fence.
A physical fence.
A complete literal fence and securing our border? Okay,
Yes.
thanks, Bob. I just
Actually, I don't believe that's accurate. I mean, I'm for doing everything we can. I think I was fairly clearly supported building a physical fence.
along the entire.
Yes, indeed, along the entire border, and not only building a physical fence, but also pairing that with unmanned aerial vehicles. The thought being we can save a lot of money on personnel with our Border Patrol agents and more effectively monitor that border. So actually, I think my plan is the most effective plan.
If I might just clarify, I actually spoke to the Border Patrol people. They would rather have sensors and a helicopter so they can go get the folks out in the western desert rather than a physical fence.
Study after study shows those sensors aren't working, Mike.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to switch gears slightly. Mr. Hankins, you will be the first to take a swing at this pitch. If you had only one bill to sponsor and pass while in Congress, what would it be, and why is this subject so important to you?
Yes. Well, the first bill that I'm going to fight to introduce and pass is for that Planned Parenthood would stop using our tax dollars to fund abortions. As your congressman, I will fight to protect the absolute right to life. I'm 100% pro-life. Life begins at conception, and it must be protected at all stages. That's why I'm going to Congress to pass a human life amendment doing just that. Life is the most foundational freedom that our founding fathers granted us in our Constitution. And there's not going to be a bigger supporter and advocate for the right to life than me as your representative.
Mr. Sotero.
Yes, I had just received the endorsement of Indiana Right to Life. And if you will check my record, I was 11 on 11 for issues of life, and certainly will support life. I think we need to get, we certainly need to do that, don't get me wrong, and I have done that. I have a record of doing that. We need to get people back to work. And I think the thing that could put people back to work is the fair tax, which I co-sponsored in my first term. For those of you that haven't been exposed to it, the reason I favor it, I told Governor Huckabee on his show one night, we ought to call it the American Job Creation and Retention Act. Right now, when a Chinese product gets to the cash register at Walmart, it has Chinese taxes or no taxes, or subsidies, or whatever the Chinese choose to do. When an American product reaches the cash register, 22% of it is embedded taxes. When you take all of that taxes out of production and you move it to consumption, now the Chinese product and the American product hit the cash register at 23%. The playing field is level between the domestic product and the import. Not just China, Mexico, South America, don't care where it comes from. American manufacturers can compete on a level tax playing field with imports coming from anywhere. But at least as important, we can export to the world 22% cheaper than we can today, because the taxes is collected at the point of sale rather than collected in production. We now can ship things out of the United States tax-free, which makes us 22% more competitive in a world market. When I talked earlier about drill here, drill now, change the tax system, make it simpler, encourage people to be as productive as they can be. I don't care if you're blue collar, white collar, or what you work at. What they would encourage people to do, since the tax is on consumption and not on production, is be as productive as they can possibly be. Work time and a half, work double time, triple time, build a better mousetrap, figure out how to do this. Because you only pay taxes when you spend the money. Amen. So I will again co-sponsor the fair taxes.
Well, like everybody else, I think everybody up here is 100% pro-life, and we'll do everything we can to stop this slaughter of innocent life. I absolutely promise you that right now. And another thing we need to do, as far as I'm concerned, we need to work on this economy, because if we get the economy going, then revenue starts to come in. We start to shrink the deficits. And we shrink the deficits, we get people to work, and then people start paying taxes, and this goes
May I repeat the question for you, though, sir, because I think we're getting a little off track, and we'll make sure we get this answered. If you had one bill to sponsor and pass.
That's where I'm going with
I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. By doing this allows us to get ourselves going in the economy again. So my bill would be to lower taxes across the board for everyone, business and individuals.
I too think we've heard some good answers from all the candidates on this. Travis, the Human Life Amendment, certainly a worthy amendment. As someone who sits on the board of directors of a pro-life ministry and offers free legal work for those who want to adopt, I applaud that. Mike, the fair tax, I certainly agree with you, sir, that our current tax code is complicated, it's inefficient, and the fair tax presents one of several good alternatives, perhaps the best alternative. However, what I want to focus on here is a constitutional balanced budget amendment. It's clear that our politicians just can't help themselves, that they need to be reined in. And I believe it's going to require a constitutional amendment to make that happen. I may well be the only candidate that supports this. I know that in Congress, Mike opposed this 4 times, so I think this is a fair difference between the two of us. I think recently you may have supported Mike Pence's version. So you've changed on that. The reason we need to do it is because the spending has gotten absolutely out of control. Let me use earmarks as an example. This is not a partisan issue, I have to say. In the year 2005, when Republicans were in charge, we passed approximately 14,000 earmarks. To give you some perspective, that is more earmarks than was passed during the entire Clinton 90s in 1 year. And Mike Sodrell supported every one of them. That's why he got a rating by Citizens Against Government Waste of